What up, guys? I'm G the Chino,
I'm Mike the Cholo.
and we are on episode 5 of the Chino and the Cholo podcast, aka the AEW podcast review show, where we review everything you missed this week that's important via Dark, BTE, and Dynamite. And then you get the special one also when we have the pay per view, which is November 7th. We are building up to Full Gear. We have the tournament bracket released, matchups, and we have a tag team four-way for next week that we'll get into here in a little bit. So, of course, we start the show off like we always do, and that is with BTE being the elite. So, this episode opens up to the flashback of August of last year, where Hangman asks the Bucks to go out and second him, come out with him in the ring, and they tell him no. So that plays into everything that they talked about last week's episode before they went to go throw watermelons. Then the segment opens up with Colt Nakazawa talking about how he's going to go ahead and go into the EVP room. Since now that he has Mike's face, he can go in there. So he goes in and finds Kenny, which we all know that Kenny is looking to kill Colt. So he walks in and they start talking, and he's like, "Oh, you're here for a weekly thing?" And he's like, "Yeah, the weekly thing." And he's like, "The mask makes your voice sound really funny." And he's like, "Yeah, it's the mask. Yeah, the mask. That's what it is." So then he's like, "I'm just gonna sit over here." And Kenny's like, "How are you gonna do it if you're sitting way over there?" He's like, "Come over here, get on your knees." And he's like, "Oh no, here we go." So he opens his mouth, and then Kenny shoves the spray tan bottle in his mouth. And he's like, "You're supposed to spray tan me, bro. It's what we do every week." So then he goes and spray tans him after he thinks he was going to blow him. And where do we go from there? So it's a funny little bit because it's still Colt Cabana, but because he still looks
They set it pretty nice because he did like before. He said to get on your knees, and he pulled down his pants. And we're like,
yeah.
"Wait, what?" And then he put the can spray. But then he's like, before he's like, after he's supposed to get, he's like, "Look at my what did he say? Something about his quads. It's like muscular shaped quads."
Yeah.
But then, like, before, so after they do everything, like, yeah, cool. He's like, "All right, cool. Before Matt comes, can you suck me off?" And then he got real quick.
Yeah.
That, and it's funny because that's the first time that I've seen on BT that I've actually played with his bisexuality.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I thought it was hilarious. I was like, "Oh my god!"
And it's also the rumors that they say, like, supposedly Nakazawa was only hired to be Kenny's, like, assistant, like, when it comes to booking and stuff. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where the play is, too, where he's like, "Yeah, suck me off," because he's his assistant, so he has to do what he says. So that's what's to play there. Then they promote the first of, like, 7 Young Bucks t-shirts on the episode. It's the white t-shirt. I don't know where
No, it's a black one. It's a black one with the rainbow graphics, but they got it from his son. He has a Mickey Mouse one like that.
That's right. Yeah, that's the first one. Where he's like, "Yeah, I got it because it's the Mickey Mouse looking shirt." And then they run into Malvez, who's finally being useful for something for his paycheck. So they're like, "Look, it's Malvez." He's like, "No, not you guys again." And Justin Roberts is like, "Run!" And then of course they do the whole run music skit. Then Justin's there. They're both looking at him. They're all, "Hey, Justin," and he's like, "I love you guys," quoting, of course, Shawn Michaels super kicking Ric Flair. So then he super kicks himself and knocks himself out. And they're like, "We weren't going to super kick him, but, you know, he's really flexible. He has range to super kick himself." And they're like, "You think he can do the Marilyn Manson thing where he sucks his own dick?" He's like, "Probably." And then they just, like, walk off and leave him super kicked on the floor.
I'm surprised he was able to actually do that. I was like,
Yeah.
golly.
I know. I was like, especially when Matt tries to do it, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I guess it's really not that easy of a thing to do if they can really do it and they're athletes." So then it cuts to the learning Spanglish segment with Proud and Powerful, and I forget the name of the dude, but the other dude. So then he gets a text message, and it cuts to Ortiz getting kidnapped by the Dark Order, and them trying to get him to drink the juice, and then who is it that scares him off? Or didn't just get scared off in general because
I think they walked off. They're like, "We'll be back" or something like that.
oh yeah, they'll be right back. Yeah, and they walk off, and then Santana comes back and says, "What are you doing in this dark area with this mask on? You have a family." And he's like, "Really? That's what you think of? See me tied and kidnapped? You think I'm just doing some kinky stuff instead of actually being kidnapped?" And he's like, "How did you find me anyway?" And he's like, "The Me Too phone said that you'd be back here." And so then they end up walking off. And he's like, "Anyway, let's go. We got a skit to do, and we're late." And he's over. I'm tied up. So then he leaves. And then the other dude, I forget his damn name, the host, picks up the Kool-Aid and drinks it. And says, "Why learn Spanish when you can join the Dark Order?" It ends up becoming an advertisement for the Dark Order, which is hilarious. And then it cuts into, so it's hashtag Speaking Dark Order, and then they cut into the other Young Bucks t-shirt. And then they start the BTE gauntlet for the title. So they are doing Gator Golf. Yes. So it's a gator that's placed somewhere in the area, and they have to use the little plastic golf club to get the ball into the gator's mouth. So in the first round, it's the Bucks against each other. And I think it's Matt that wins. I should have wrote these down.
Yeah, Matt wins.
Yes.
Matt wins.
So Matt wins and moves on, which I don't remember if they showed where the bracket's at. Come on. Oh, yeah. Oh, too fast. Yeah, so you have Sammy taking on Fuego del Sol, Brandon Cutler taking Peter Avalon on, the Bucks taking on each other, and then the Dark Order. I think that's everybody in the tournament for Gator Golf to crown the first champion. So then from there, we cut back to Hangman and Peter in the back of the truck throwing watermelons. And then they run out of watermelons, so then they start throwing pumpkins. And then they're like, "We're all out of pumpkins." And Hangman has a pumpkin on his head. And then he's like, "Next time we'll just go straight to pumpkins, and then we'll move to cantaloupes because nobody gives a fuck about cantaloupes." And then, again, Brandon talks about how he needs to make peace with the Bucks. And he's like, "Forget them. They're pieces of shit." And then he leaves his phone in the pumpkin as they walk off. And that will come into play later on in the episode. Then Best Friends, that's what it is, Best Friends as well, play Gator Golf. And it ends up being...
the other one, Trent.
Yes. So Trent wins, while Orange Cassidy just sits on top of the Gator. So then he moves on and drops a generic promo where he's like, good luck to whoever I face in the next round. And then it cuts to Leva Bates hanging out with Frankie Kazarian. And she starts reciting him some more poetry, which ends up being a Van Halen song. And then he's like, "Okay, I'll go ahead and let it go." And she's like, "I'm glad we had these times." And he's like, "Do ya?" And then Christopher Daniels comes and says, "Did I hear a do ya?" And he's like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, do ya." He's like, "I just heard somebody yell, do ya?" And he's like, "Did you?" He's like, "Yes, I did." So I guess that's going to be the running gag now, that he's going to try to catch Kazarian saying it. Then from there, Matt Hardy comes out and gives the Young Bucks a proper lesson on how to watch TV on national TV, telling them that they need to put their chest out facing the camera and then turn their head awkwardly sideways, which of course was a play on the show of how WWE does it. Then it cuts to another shirt promo for their black shirt with the buck on it. And then from there, it cuts to Evil Uno walking into the Dark Order clubhouse, which is pretty much everybody's clubhouse in the vlogs. So Evil Uno finds I forget what his damn name is. 3. Is it 3? No.
Yeah. No, it's Alan Angels.
Yeah. And he finds him and he tells him what the fuck happened, and he was like, "It's Anna Jay. She did this, and she like destroyed the whole clubhouse, and he's like, we don't need this shit right now, we just lost. And then he turns and everything's like, oh, Anna, you've been here this whole time in the room watching us. And she's like, yep. And then he pulls her to the side and is like, hey, can you give it like 2 weeks before you like give him shit and just like take it easy on him? So then she apologizes and says, fine, I'll take it easy on you for 2 weeks. And then she shoves him over the table again and knocks the table over. Then from there we cut to the Bucks again, talking to Brandon. And Brandon's telling them like, you guys never want to second anybody. And they're like, of course we second. We only second Kenny. Like, that's it. We're not seconding anybody else. And Brandon's like, well, you don't know what it means to us when you guys come out showing your support for us and treating us as equals and whatever Hangman told him. So then they're like, oh, well, if you put it that way, okay, fine. We'll go with you to the ring on Dark. So then they start thinking about, like, or he tells them, well, you need to message Hangman too and, like, just work it out, just, like, have a conversation. So they send him a text message and are like, you're our best friend and we want to work this out, so let's have a conversation. So then it cuts back to the phone being in the pumpkin. And the wallpaper is a girl in a crop top wearing a horse's head. Of course, because, cowboy shit. And then it cuts to the Dark Order playing Gator Golf. And, of course, Silver wins, because that's my pick to win the whole Gator Golf. Because Johnny Hungry.
He won by lucky, though. He won by lucky.
I know, I was like, are these, like, legit shoot games, or they have it rigged on purpose?
No, I think it's legit shoot games.
And then, of course, they put another promo for a Killing the Business shirt where there's zombies. And then the Dark Order cuts back to the Dark Order talking about how can they make Mr. Brody Lee happy and cheer him up. So, of course, John Silver recommends that they all take turns kissing his ass. And they're like not literally, just figuratively, right? And he's like, no, I mean, we turn him around, we pull his pants down, and we just kiss his ass. And we're like, oh, you want us to go more into the hole, Mr. Lee? Okay. He starts simulating kissing his asshole. And then, who's it, 10? 10 is like, he doesn't want that. He wants blood. So let's just go kill Cody and bring him back Cody's blood. And they're like, nope, we're not going to kill a man for Mr. Brody Lee. He's like, why not? Let's just kill him. And then they were talking about getting him, not Chili's, what'd they say? I think Outback. One of the other restaurants, they were like, he actually likes that instead. And then, who is it? Silver, not Silver, Reynolds was like, let's go to the town. Let's take him to a steakhouse. Take him out to downtown. Go to Broadway. Go see a play. And, just spin the town in a nice bubble bath and stuff. And they're like, what? No. Then Mr. Brody Lee comes and tells everybody to get the fuck out except Silver. And he tells him to sit there in the chair. And that's just kind of where they leave it, where he's sitting in the chair with Brody Lee standing there over him. Then it cuts back to Hangman's phone responding back to the Bucks. Saying, fuck off, Matt. Our relationship's over. Never speak to me again. Which ends up being a mystery person who picked up the phone that we don't know yet who it is.
Kenny. It's Kenny.
Yeah, I think it's Kenny, too. If, the whole Me Too movement didn't happen, I really would have loved it to be Marty. And be like he did it because he's the villain. But I doubt that's coming. After the whole stupid Me Too movement, so...
I thought his died down, though.
His died down, but his answers were like...
idiotic.
Yeah, his excuses just made it worse and worse each time he tried to come up with an excuse. So I don't think he's, like, done anything recently that would get him in. But, I mean, his kind of wasn't bad because it was consent. It was just she was underage. Like, they were both, like, cool with it. It was just, she was, I think 16 and he was, like, 27, 28 when it happened. So, I mean, it could pass. Not like Joey Ryan over there who's trying to sue everybody.
Idiot.
And And they were like, how is he suing? How can he sue people if they're all anonymous? Like, all the claims, nobody has come out and actually, like, released their name, but yet he's suing all the people with claims. So they're like, how do you know who those people are if they haven't released their names if you didn't do anything? So I was like, facts. So we're behind on the train, but tonight was a very important episode of Dynamite because it's the 1-year anniversary show of Dynamite debuting on TNT. So we had all the titles on the line as the main with a couple of fillers. Really just one, I guess you can call Big Swole a filler match too, but so let's jump right into it. So right off the bat, you had the Tag Team Championship match between FTR and Best Friends. It's Team Weenie versus the Best Friends. So it was a really good match. They kind of went back and forth. It was a nice, good style, of course, them pushing the fact that Best Friends won the street fight match, so now they're tough. Kind of reminds me of, like, you know, SpongeBob, that one episode where they're like, how tough are you? And he's like, I eat a bowl of nails for breakfast with no milk. That's kind of how I feel like they're trying to push FTR. I mean, not FTR, Best Friends.
Best Friends.
That they're, like, stupid, like, nerdy people, but they're tough because they won a street fight. I was looking at a back and forth match. They teased the a false finish where Tully tripped one of, I think it might have been Trent, just how they won the week before, and they were able to kick out of it. So they went back and forth until finally FTR hit Taylor with the belt when the ref had his back turned, and they covered up for the win. Which I always think is kind of, I thought it was kind of funny because the referee went to go get the belt and then totally had to, like, go grab the belt and give it to him. Like, that doesn't, like, give away the fact that you cheated because you had to hand him the belt instead of it being where it's supposed to be. But, you know, it's just minor.
Remember, refs are the dumbest people in the world, and they're the most fragile.
I was going to say the most clumsiest ones, too. So, at one point in this match, you had Dax run Taylor through Kip Sabian's giant-ass game cabinet, which I'm 100% sure was just a controller, because it was just, like, made out of plywood and said the word Kip on the side. And then they showed him playing, like, on the joysticks, but they didn't show, like, any actual TV or glass. So yeah, they ran him through it and it broke. So Kip got upset and told Penelope to go to the back and go get him. So then, like 5 minutes later, I don't know where Miro was at, if he was taking a dump or he was just maybe in Jacksonville Stadium. But eventually he makes his way out to the ring after the match. So him and Kip go and start beating up the Best Friends. So I'm assuming we're gonna shoot the rivalry over to them now. So it'll be Miro and Kip versus the Best Friends coming up here. So they beat them up, and then we go to commercial. So when we come back from commercial, we have them taking a squash match against not Pineapple Pete and some other dude. Lee Johnson and Sean Maluda, who look a little bit like Pineapple Pete. Of course, that was another squash match, and it finishes with Miro hitting the now renamed Game Over finisher, and now he actually says the words Game Over in a really slow yelling voice before he applies it, which he botched.
I don't like these, like, how they're incorporating that stuff into it, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like the games, it just doesn't, I don't like it.
Peter's kind of makes sense. Not Peter. Brandon's kind of makes sense, and it kind of looks cool with the mask. But yeah, I don't like the whole, like, he's a gamer, so he has to be gaming. Same with, like, the whole cabinet. Like, why would you have a video game cabinet in the middle of a arena? Like, it doesn't make sense when, you know, WWE guys have, like, full PlayStations and Switches, so it doesn't make sense that he would have a full cabinet that he would have to drag around just to play video games at the arena.
I guess visually it looks better. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I think that's dumb too. But apparently they're getting a lot of traction because, like, Brandon's Twitch, he has, like, everybody and their mom playing now. So, I guess he's trying to make it more like the Up Up Down YouTube channel. But the thing about the Up Up Down channel is that they're playing like everything and they tell like their childhood stories to it. As with these guys, they're literally just Twitchers, and it's just kind of weird. But I guess to make it, and then Miro said some stuff in, where's he from? Russian, I guess.
Bulgaria.
Yeah, whatever their language is, he says some stuff in in his language. But yeah, I like how he botched the camel clutch. He was going to choke him and he missed him completely, so he had to go back and try to cover it up. But yeah, pretty much like a filler match. Could have been on Dark, but of course pushes both of them. But really is meant to set up the best friends and best man rivalry, I guess. I guess that's what they're going to call themselves now, the best men.
It's the best man versus the best friend.
Yes. The winner gets to take home Penelope Ford. And then...
Did she used to date Joey Ryan?
No, she used to... Well, I don't know about Joey Ryan.
Joey Janela.
Yes.
Janela, that's who it was, right?
Yeah. And then like they broke up in real life, so they just like randomly separated them, and then all of a sudden she was with Kip. So I was like, okay. Which you could have, used that as a feud, but whatever. Then segment 4, the best segment of the night. The big world-changing announcement of MJF. He had invited Jericho to the ring, of course, accompanied by Inner Circle. So, of course, everybody did the whole sing-along to the theme song. Then MJF tells everybody that they're a little bit off-key, so they need to practice that for next week, so they don't sound so bad. And then he hypes up Chris Jericho, talking about his abs and if he could touch his hair. And Jericho's like, you want to touch my hair? He's like, I'd love to touch your hair. You wish you could touch my hair? Yes, I would love to touch your hair. Then finally he lets him touch it. Everybody's coming out wearing the Inner Circle jackets that MJF gave him. And I was kind of laughing because I didn't see at first that Sammy had the jacket in his hand. So I was like, I love how they all agreed to wear it without Sammy having the jacket. And then later we find out that Sammy does have the jacket with him. MJF finally came through on his promise of getting him the jacket. It just happens to be about 3 sizes too big. And he's like, I'm not going to wear the jacket. And Jericho's like, you're going to put the jacket on. You're going to wear the jacket. So he puts on the jacket and Sammy looks like he's 5. And it just made my whole day during the promo because I was just too busy watching him try to get out of the jacket. So MJF, after trying to butter up Chris just says, just shut up and get to the point. What's your big story? Then he goes, I don't know how to say this. So then he goes into inner monologue to himself. And he's just like, come on, MJF, you can do it. You're big boy Max. Just say it. And
he's trying to psych himself. He's like, go on, swallow your pride, swallow your ego.
Yeah, just go ahead and do it. You can do it. And he's like, I want to ask if I can internally, or if I can join inner piece of myself to find the words to tell you that I kind of sort of want to not really maybe possibly join the Inner Circle. Then it's Santana, I think, comes in and is like, no, we don't want you. Ortiz, yeah. He's like, we don't want you in Inner Circle. We don't want you in here. And Jericho's like, you know what I really want? He's like, I want a steak dinner. He's like, can you give me a steak dinner, Max? And he's like, then maybe we'll talk about joining Inner Circle. So that sets up for next week. He's going to get a steak dinner by MJF. So that's going to take a wonderful turn, which is probably going to promote a little bit of the bubbly. So I love that. Have you seen the new commercial yet?
I have not.
So it's all of them around a briefcase. And then he opens the briefcase and they're like, you outdid yourself again, Chris. How did you do it? And then they're all taking turns and he pulls out the bottle because this time it's silver. Last time was gold. So now the bottle is silver. And he's like, it's back. A little bit of the bubbly. And then Hager has his mouth open and Jericho's pushing his mouth back. And he's like, just put that up, boy. And then they're talking about how they did a new batch for this year.
When did they play that commercial?
I don't know if they played it on the show. I know they posted it after the show last week. Because I saw it after we had finished the podcast. And then I've seen it on their Facebook page. They've been pushing it. to get the bottles, which you can also order in 2, 6, and a dozen bottles. So
Order a dozen.
yeah, I
Is
was
it
like, I don't know if I want a dozen bottles, but yeah, the dozen I think is like 1,100. Let me see. Yeah, because 2 bottles is $48, which is the minimum. Then you can get 3 bottles at $72. You can get 6 at $144, and then you can get a whole dozen for. Oh, I'm sorry, $275. It's actually not that bad.
You said a dozen for how much?
$275.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, that's like about maybe like $15 a bottle, not even. So, yeah. So it says buy now before they go out of demand.
Because you know they will.
Yeah. I didn't know they did because I kept seeing it like later in the year, but I guess it did finally run out. So yeah, that was like segment of the night. I did forget that between, I think it was between after the FTR match, John Moxley gets beat up in the back by I'm gonna say War Machine, the Warhawk, Lance Archer. Couldn't think of his damn name. Yeah, Lance
He
Archer
gets beat
comes.
up throughout the night, don't he?
They take turns beating each other up. So after the Cody match, which we'll cover right now, then it cuts back to them in the back, and they're talking to Lance Archer, and then Moxley comes out and beats him up and does another pull apart from there. But at this point, we already have one fight break out. So then we have Cody versus Orange Cassidy for the TNT title. This match went into a draw. So there was never an actual winner. I do like the fact that they played the time into it, and they did a good job of building the suspense as they were having false finishes. Because normally, when they'll start using the time, they normally don't actually like work the false finishes. They just like show them wrestling, and you already know like they're not going for it. This time they were really close.
This time I think what it was he did the crossroads, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he went to pin. Oh no, he did something. I don't remember what the move. I think it was the crossroads. He kicked out of it, or he did something, and then he did his little mousetrap pin. And the ref counts 1, 2, and then the bell rings.
Yes.
And I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "Did he just win?" Because I thought it was a lag on my end.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was like, "No, they didn't do that." And I was pissed at first. I was like, "Why would they do that? Why would they waste this?"
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, like a couple seconds, I was like, "You know what? That was a great fucking finish.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great fucking finish. Both guys stay strong." And then it was like literally close. It was literally that close. He went 1, 2, and then boom, the bell rang.
I was gonna say shout out to the ref, because if you actually play that back after they give him the title, you can see he's breathing so hard where he was like trying to time that like down to the T. To make sure that like the 3 happened like right after the bell rang. So shout out to him. He could have botched that.
Do you think the time? Like, do you think it actually went the time limit, or that was just a planned spot?
I want to say it did, because I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of in and out on the match. I wasn't like straight focused on it.
I caught the second half of the match.
Yeah, so I caught the intro where he came out, where now he has black hair. So thank God I didn't dye my action figure. I mean, blonde hair again.
No, yeah, blonde hair again. Like, what the fuck, guys? Make up your mind.
I know. I was like, now I have to repaint my doll again, my action figure again, to now have blonde hair again. Thanks, Cody. So then I saw that, and then I saw back and forth, and I saw where he got into it with the Dark Order, where they were at ringside, and then they all pretty much jumped the turnbuckle while John Silver was, the barricade, while John Silver was getting ready to hit him with the TNT title to knock out Cody. Then Orange Cassidy comes and takes it out of his hand, and then they do an awkward like 3 minutes of Orange Cassidy looking at the belt like, should I hit him with it? Before he ends up giving it to Arn Anderson and throwing Cody back into the ring. They were still playing, which I I get it, but it's kind of getting old where they're playing the fact that Cody has injuries. Obviously this week was a good excuse to use it because he had the dog match last week, the dog collar match last week, so he's still banged up from it. But it's kind of old. The old story they're running with him defending the titles when he was doing the challenges was like, oh well, he's still sore from the week before, and it's like, well, all the wrestlers are sore from the week before. Most of them wrestle on the show like every week. So I don't. The whole playing the he's wrestling injured. They all wrestle injured. It's not really a storyline anymore.
Yeah. Like I said, at first, I was like, this is a stupid finish. But it literally within seconds, I was like, that's so smart. That's actually the best. That would be the best way to do it. Because they are trying to build Cassidy up, too.
Mm-hmm.
So it was actually a pretty smart finish. And then now in 2 weeks, they're going to rematch, which I don't understand that part. But I'm not a booker. But then the winner is going to face Darby Allin at Full Gear. I think they announced it during the match.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say I was kind of hoping that maybe it'd build to an Orange and Darby feud, but
that's it. So when they did, and I think that's why I was pissed. That's what I thought was going to happen was Catherine's actually going to win. Because that's his thing. That's almost like his finish is the mousetrap pin.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, he might get it. And then when they rang the bell, like I said, I thought he actually won, but in reality, time when they figured out the time went off, I was like, oh, this is stupid. But then I was like, smart. I love it.
Yeah. So. Plus, I mean, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to put it on Orange and then have him feud with Darby. Other than the fact that Taz hasn't finished with Darby, so you can't. I mean, I know they love doing the whole, love triangle when it comes to feuds, where they start one and then they kind of like brush it off or put it to the back burner where they let the next one go. But let's just finish the Taz one first with Darby before, or the Ricky Stark before we get into more there. I still want him to take on Brian Cage and just take the FTW title. That's a good use of Darby. Darby, yes. And then you can have him sacrifice himself to thumbtacks and turtles or whatever.
Skateboard.
Yes. Because he's a skateboarder guy. And then, Jeff Hardy changes his mind, cancels his contract, and comes over, and you have a Willow versus Darby Allin match. Just because they wear face paint.
So I caught Dynamite late. I was able to catch a rerun, so I missed like the first 30 minutes. I was able to see this match. I actually enjoyed this match. Like I said, at first I was pissed off about the finish, but that changed in a second. I think it was smart. I liked it overall the match. I think at one point, something happened where Orange, he tried to do a Mitsunoku, whatever his fucking name is.
Yeah, Mitsunoku
driver. And he like couldn't do it. He tried to buy something, and he just gave up. And then he just did something. They waited like a couple seconds, and he did it. And then he actually did it, performed it. I was like, that was weird.
And then they were the Michinoku driver. I'm pretty sure he's proud wherever he's at.
And then there was he did something. I think it was like an overhand. He dropped Cody on that fucking edge of that ring. I was like, oh.
Yes. And then he goes for that move. Then he goes for that move a second time in the ring, and he almost gets a near fall there. And that's when Cody comes up and does the crossroads, or tries to do the crossroads.
That looked like it hurt.
Yeah.
And then the thing is, he was holding his knee, so I was like, oh, it really hurt. But I guess it was just like.
See, and I was thinking that they were gonna finish it not even with a pin. But I already knew it was going to be a draw. When they started 5 minutes left, 3 minutes left, a minute left, I was like, yeah, it's going to go to a draw. They're just going to do it because that's how they did with Darby and Cody. And I was like, when he went for the the orange juice punch, not the Superman punch, when he went for the orange juice punch and grabbed his knee, I was like, maybe that's what they're gonna use. Like he stutters to do it, then he's gonna hit him with it, and then time runs out, and it's like if had he not hesitated to, if his knee didn't give out, he would have like hit it and won. That's what I was thinking they were gonna go with it, and then that's when they switched it over to a roll up, and I was like, But that was kind of like a quick on the fly thing, so maybe like you said, maybe he really did injure his knee or tweak it. Because it just seemed
because they rebooked the match for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Well, I knew it was gonna go to a draw, but I think maybe he was supposed to hit him with the Superman, go for the pin, and then they call it. Because I swear right before all that happened, they had said 1 minute, and that shit went on for like 2. Because I was like, 1 minute, that means it should almost be going, and it literally went on for like another 2 minutes. So I'm thinking.
I think it was a planned spot.
Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm thinking they were like, okay, well, if he can't do the punch, go ahead and just do the, the quick pin and get me it, and we'll go that way. But we'll see. Find out in 2 weeks, I guess.
Find out in 2 weeks.
Then from there, we cut to, where's my thing here? We cut to another dark match. We have the women's championship on the line. We have Hiro Shida versus our favorite number 1 contender in the world, Big Swole. And I was on a phone call, so I missed most of this. But pretty much Shida wins with the German suplex.
Shida was looking a little hottie patati today with all her makeup. She actually did her makeup this week. I was like, dang. You know what's really awkward though? Do you watch the podcast on Filter?
Sometimes it just varies.
So there was they did the one with all the champions,
and
Shida was on there. Oh my god, it was the most awkward like interview ever. Like her English wasn't that great, so she kept saying like she wasn't really answering the questions, and then she kept saying like. Like the same thing, you know how when someone doesn't speak English, they just repeat the same word. That's what she was doing.
Yeah,
she was like, it wasn't like, but like, but it wasn't but. It was another word. I forgot what it was. But I was like, this is awkward interview.
So yeah. So of course, thankfully, Swole has not won. So Shida retains the title, and then they cut to Nia Jax out in the crowd. So I don't know if it's going to be a Swole and Nia Jax or we're getting a Nia Jax Shida match, but
I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to do it with that because they've already done it so many times.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be a big Swole, and big Swole.
Which would be good to push up the contender, and then I guess you just get somebody to fill in until. Well, I'm assuming if they got the contract right, they'll probably get Thunder Rosa to come back for the pay-per-view.
By the way, can I talk about that or no?
Yeah, I haven't sent her anything.
Let me ask that. Can I ask about that or no?
I haven't actually gotten I forgot a message. I've been busy. But yeah, I mean, we can probably try to squeeze it out of her. But we can get it before time.
Oh wait, so you haven't asked yet?
No, I haven't asked her yet.
So if you're all wondering what we're talking about, G over here messaged Thunder Rosa and she said email her to be on the podcast.
Yes.
So that would be fun.
Yes. But because, it's a big name to help boost our other podcast, we're going to put on a regular one. But Mike is going to be the special guest. So it'll be
yeah. Put on the other one, yeah.
It'll be a 210 Culture, Chino and Cholo collab mashup episode.
Collab.
I was like, the only thing I don't know is if we're going to have to do like a Skype call or if she's going to be like, they're going to allow her to come on because, since she's going back and forth. So that's the only thing I'm kind of hesitant on. But either way, it'll still be cool because we'll get an interview.
I know they leave, I think, Sunday or Monday. Oh, no, I think they leave Tuesday to go to Dynamite.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm just worried that they're going to be like, well, you have to do a Skype call because we don't want her to risk her getting COVID since she has to go back and forth.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true, too.
So, but I mean, she hasn't been on in a couple of weeks, so maybe she's just chilling. And then, of course, we got to ask her about her terrific matches against Sammy where she beats him every time. because they used to wrestle each other too all the time.
Yeah.
So that'll be a very fun wrestling episode. But we are gonna make it happen. I just haven't reached out to her yet, but I'll make it happen somehow, even if I gotta sell a kidney. Mike's already offered to give her nudes, so we're good people.
Give her my nudes.
Yes. So where did I miss this here somewhere? So after the Big Swole match, they were doing a lottery raffle thing. It's not in these notes. Let me check somewhere else. Where they were gonna pick 4 teams to have a number 1 contenders match. I think I was still on the phone at this time. Let me see. Oh yeah, how could I forget? We totally forgot about the Britt Baker segment.
Oh.
So,
I was actually watching that as you called me at the beginning of the call. Great, sir. Oh my God, Britt Baker just gets better and better.
So
like every freaking week.
Yeah, so she goes to go get I guess they're at the spa. So she's relaxing there with Tony, who Tony has no shirt on. He's just sitting there in the towel. And Britt's there in her robe. So they're talking, and then she's like, they're already talking about my comeback match. They're already putting it in the record books, and I'm already writing it right now. And he's like, Reba has the rules. Reba, come in. So here comes Reba with tinfoil in her hair and looking all a mess with the stupid journal board paper thing that's all crumbled up. And she's like, rule number 5. She's like, to quote the great Jim Ross, which I've never heard him say it, but she says, be the baddest bitch on the block. So then she goes on this whole rant until she realizes that Tony is sitting next to her with no clothes on.
They both start screaming.
Yeah, so then she starts screaming. And then they cut back to poor Tony. They're just laying there. And she's like, you can't have all that hair on your chest, Tony. You're going to have to wax it. So then they cut to him getting waxed. And
for real. Like, yes. He's getting waxed for real.
Yes, legitly getting waxed. And I'm just laughing. I'm like, poor Tony. Like, how did he, like, say yes to any of this crap? So then she also mentions that that she's going to wrestle and come back next week, so we will see her back in action. And then she got mad that Tony didn't go to her last match, which I think was a dark match. I can't remember when she wrestled last. And then Tony says that he would have gone, but he was busy getting super kicked in the face by the Bucks. And she was like, I don't want to hear it. You still could have been there.
Oh, no, she's like, I got kicked in the nose.
Yeah. So then, actually, after the Cody match, I really need to start taking notes. After the Cody match, they interview Matt and his whole family, who just magically happened to pop up in ringside because they weren't shown at all throughout the night. But he's there with his wife and his 17 kids. And he's talking about how the doctor said he's 100% healthy and he's ready to come back. And it cuts to a silhouette of a guy wearing a hoodie that has pictures of Matt Hardy hanging. And it starts playing sound bites of Matt Hardy talking about that he's going to come back and he needs to retire and all the blah blah blah. To see the pictures lit on fire, which I was kind of hoping it was maybe a new superstar being announced. But it turns out to be nobody else but good old Spanish God himself, Sammy. And he says that every time that you come back off the shelf, Matt, he's going to go ahead and put you back on the shelf until you can no longer walk or retire or something like that. Somewhere along those lines.
So, like, these promos tonight were on point. Like, Sammy did a fucking fun. It was a great promo by him.
Yes.
Just, like, amazing. Like, I was just like, I'm into this. I like this. Like, this was a great heel promo by him. Normally, he's just like a goofy little fucker, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, when you watch his vlogs, you see these goofy little fuck. But this one, I was just like, oh, damn, he means business. You know what I mean? Like, he was legit, like, I'm going to retire you, Matt Hardy. It was like, what's that, All In? I knocked you out. I broke your knee. I made you bleed. Now I'm going to retire you once and for all. And I was just like, good fucking promo, bro.
Yes, and like I said, even though I was kind of sad that it wasn't somebody new, I love it. especially because their feud just kind of ended with, of course, the controversial should they have continued thing. But it's kind of like one of those, like, you're still coming after him, but he threw you off the scaffold and you died. So according to Marco Stunt, Sammy died. So after that, and after the whole backstage with Moxley beating up Archer, they decided to say we'll be back after we control this chaos because we can't control our own show. And then right when they're rolling out, they're saying that the championship match is now a no DQ. So then when they come back from a commercial, they have all the tag teams sitting on the stage, and they announce that they're going to pick 4 names out of the little spinning ball thingy, and those 4 tag teams are going to face each other next week, and the winner will get a tag team title shot at FTR at Full Gear. So they were pulled at random, allegedly, and the first pick was Private Party. The second pick was John Silver and Alex Reynolds of the Dark Order. The third one was The Butcher and the Blade. And the final pick was the Young Bucks. And then they go out there and they're like, we're not going to kick Tony Schiavone because he's in the ring this time. They're like, we're just going to kick these guys. So then they turn around and they kick Silver and Reynolds first. And then they just start super kick partying everybody till they take out Private Party as the last one I think I saw. So setting up the Young Bucks' run so we can have FTR and them at Full Gear. So that's where that sets up for, like I said, next week, I think.
If the Bucks get a title shot, they have to win the title this time. Because they've gotten, 2 or 3 shots already. They've lost every single time.
Yeah.
They have to win. But I feel like it'll be kind of soon to pull it off.
Yeah.
4 months for having the belts? That's actually not too bad, actually.
Well, I know it'd be kind of weird, but I'm pushing for Dark Order in this match. Even though we know, especially if we're going to put them to retain, build the story up. I know it would suck, but I would say why not build this? Because after Full Gear, we have what? Nothing till May? Or is there one more? Oh, no, there's Revolution. I think.
Yeah, it's Revolution.
Okay, so do it in I say pull the trigger at Revolution. That's another 4 months away. Because I was gonna say it would be best to build it up till All Out, but you're talking about almost a whole year.
Yeah.
And I feel like as much as a slow burn as it'll be, I think that wouldn't be the best option. But maybe do it where. But there'd be no way to stretch it out. I was going to say, maybe do it where they lose here. You build it up where they work their way to another rematch come Revolution. Lose again. And then by All Out, you have, this is your last time. If you can't beat us, then you can't get a title shot. Then the Bucks end up beating FTR. And hopefully that would be at a show full of people in Vegas. And you have one big old pop that they finally beat FTR. But I feel like that's a lot of booking you have to do to stretch that out to not get old.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a long time to pull that trigger.
But I could see that maybe to set up for Revolution. I could see that perfectly. Cutting it shorter. Have them lose in the tournament and then be like, well, you want to be the best, now you're at the bottom. Have them get pinned. Have the Bucks get pinned. And then FTR be like, well, you're at the bottom now because you got pinned out of all those other 3 tag teams. So now you should be at least a 5th ranked team or whatever. So then have them work their way against all of them to get to FTR again.
I guess that could work. I don't know if that will actually go that route, but I get your logic on that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only other way to do that is if Tony Khan comes out. If the Super Case Tony Khan goes out and says, you know what? No more suspension, or no more fines. You're suspended. You're out of the match. I think that's the only way they could. Then that really, that really throws them off the deep edge,
mm-hmm.
and then they just start going to town. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's the only other way to do it without making the Young Bucks lose and look weak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just feel like the whole build up to them, like all of a sudden, like not taking shit and being like serious again. Um, I just feel like the original build up for it sucks. Like they should have done it after they fought these guys. They should have been like buddy buddy still. Had a
Yeah.
before they won the title. Just I know they don't want to give it away off the bat, but they should have just given the matchup. Let it have been like a friendly thing, and then right after that match, have them win the titles from Kenny and Hangman, and then been like, we're the best, and then they get pissed because they're like, we were supposed to be friendly, like, rivals, but yet you're over here bragging that you won the match. And then that would have gotten them to go their heelish ways that they're going now. I feel like that would have been a better way than just, I don't even know how they went heel. I just know they had a match, and then they were like, now we're going to super kick everybody. Because I can't even remember anymore. So, wrapping up here, the end of the night, the main event, of course, was Moxley and Lance Archer in an ODQ match. It was pretty good. It had, some chairs, some thumbtacks. No, not thumbtacks. Chairs, trash cans, tables, cannonball senton. So I went back.
Paradise in the tables.
Yes. All that goodness there. Then Moxley gets away with a roll up and hits him, or actually goes with the DDT and then covers him 1, 2, 3 with the paradigm shift. And then Lance Archer just freaks out. Oh yeah, that's right. He does kick out, and then hits him with the blackout.
No, so going back a little bit though.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess on the outside, he fucking paradigm shifts him through the fucking table, which was a gnarly ass spot. And then they kind of wrestle, get back in the ring. He does a paradigm shift. Archer kicks out, and then Archer does his little finisher, the reverse razor's edge.
Mm-hmm.
And Moxley, he pins Moxley. Moxley ends up reversing it, and he ends up winning that way, like through reversible pins,
Yes.
which was weak as hell. I was just like, really? And I get it. You want to build Lance Archer as a monster, but that's how you build it? Like a roll-up, that's how he loses? So he looks like a dumbass? Like,
Yeah.
come on. There are other ways to do that. You know what I mean?
I do love the Stone Cold entrance where they have him like go through the glass and he throws whoever the hell he finds every week to throws them through the glass. So I thought that was pretty funny because it always reminds me of was it WrestleMania 13 where they have the 316 glass that breaks. So that's what it reminded me of there. Of course, the whole time on commentary, you have Eddie Kingston and Lucha Brothers there with him on commentary. So then after the match, Lance Archer gets mad, so he goes to beat up Jon Moxley to show that he's a badass. And then the Lucha Brothers come in and make the save for Moxley. So they get ready to hit Lance Archer with the chair. So then Jake's like, all right, let's get out of here. It's like 3-on-1, 4-on-1. Let's go ahead and bail. So he leaves. And then Eddie Kingston's talking about how Moxley is the champion and that he's the leader, the future, the man on top, and look at his belt, and he's proud of him, and he got his back. And then he's like, even though you didn't beat me, I didn't tap out. Then from there, they end up beating him up, and then Eddie Kingston puts Moxley in the chokehold to choke him out, while the Lucha Brothers keeps everybody off the ramp so nobody can go and get into the ring. And that is the show for the 1-year anniversary. And I wrapped it all up. Nice, pretty bow there. Puts him in the rear naked choke and leaves him while the officials. Fades to black because Eddie Kingston's still cutting his promo. I guess they didn't give him enough Sour Patch Kids this week. So he was still cutting the promo until the show went off air. And they're like, all right, Eddie, that's enough. And then like it just cuts off. So who knows what he said after that.
He pretty much said, I never tapped out. That's my belt. I'm coming after it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Those 1-year shorts. The 1-year shirts do look pretty badass. That they had there for the show. So I'm probably gonna get mine on AEW. Overall, I think it was a good show. I don't think it was anything to run home and write about for being a 1-year show. But it was a typical good episode of Dynamite. Like you said, the promos were on point. The pull apart brawl could, I guess, not really be necessary. I know they were using it to use the excuse for the stipulation, but I mean, like they said, why would you risk taking him out of the match, taking Moxley fully out of the match before you even have it? Like, there's one thing to attack him and leave him at B where he's hurt for the match, but then there's another when you're just trying to take him out permanently where he can't even wrestle. Like, you don't get the title for a forfeit or him not being able to compete. So, yeah, the logic there was a little off.
I didn't like how freaking Ray Phoenix hit Lance Archer with the tail. I was confused about that. I thought he was going to hit Moxley. He's like, go get him, boys, go get him. And then he hits freaking Lance Archer with a tear, and then Lance Archer just stands up, and then Jake Roberts holds him back, and then they just leave. I'm just like, what the hell? And then, I mean, I guess then they started like helping Moxley up, but that just doesn't make sense. I was like, this is kind of weird. I thought the finish of that match was weak. Could have been better. Because the thing is Lance Archer did his finish on him, and John Moxley still had, like, you know what I mean, the wherewithal to, like, reverse it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he did it easily and fast. It's kind of like, what the heck?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I understand if Moxley would have done it, and then, like, you tried to, like, I guess, drag Moxley to the middle of the ring or something like that, and he couldn't because he was stuck or something. You know, or he did the finish outside, and Moxley got knocked out, and he couldn't get him up. He got his head, and then Archer wins, but he doesn't get the title. You know, like, that's another way to kind of keep it going. But I was just like, this kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we are also starting the 8-man tournament next week. First round action. It doesn't have.
It's Ray Phoenix versus his brother, which I think is a good match. That's Kenny versus Canella. Hangman versus Michael Nakazawa, a.k.a. What's his face? Goldstein,
Kokobana.
And then Warlow versus Luchasaurus.
Yes, and I don't. Why did they not have that posted up here? But yeah, I'm calling it now. Hangman and Kenny.
I memorized that just for the podcast.
It's like I'm
I
calling.
knew it'd come up. I knew it'd be useful somehow.
Yeah, I was like, I called it last week. If they were going to be on opposite brackets, that's what's going to happen. And yeah, that's what's going to happen.
So Kenny is opposite bracket of Hangman. So we could see him in the finals. I think it's one Lucha Brothers. Kenny obviously is going to win. I think Hangman's going to beat Kokobana. I think Warlow's going to beat Luchasaurus.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hangman's going to beat Warlow. This is going to be Kenny and Hangman.
Yes.
They may throw a monkey wrench into it and let Hangman win it. I don't know. That may push Kenny over the edge. I don't know how they're going to play this.
I think BT will give us a better saying once we figure out who the masked person is. Now, exciting news, if you click on the events tab on AEW, on December 2nd, if everything keeps going the way it is, they will be live from New Orleans on December 2nd. Then from there, on December 30th, there will be in Albuquerque. And February 24th of next year, they'll be in Newark, New Jersey. But most importantly, skipping Boston, Philadelphia, Rochester, nobody cares, St. Louis. On June 30th, so I'm going to put in my vacation time so we can go, AEW will be visiting Houston, Texas on June 30th.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not going to go into a long rant about this. It's all political bullshit, and half the people's opinions are stupid anyways. But I think half the nation's going to get the vaccine, the other half's not. You know what I mean? So I think that's what's going to happen. But I think the people that do get vaccinated will be safe, and then you'll have all the other dumb dummies who don't believe in vaccinations. You're just going to pass it around. I don't know, man. Honestly, I don't know how it's going to play out, though.
Yeah, I'll wait till it gets a little bit closer, but yeah, I'm totally down to get these tickets to go to Houston. And you know, for $300, we can get the VIP experience,
Yeah.
which would be
Yeah.
we get a pose with the belt, have your photo taken by a photographer, hang out in the lounge where MJF treats you like shit. You get a VIP merchandise item, a laminate, a ticket, a poster, and then you get a ticket within the first 3 rows for $300. So I might do that, or I might just do the
We'll be on
200,
TV. We'll be on TV again.
or I might just do the $139 one and just get the reserve seat with the laminate and the poster. All cheap, but we will see. But that was the show. Like I said, it was a pretty good show. Title matches. I kind of hope one of them would change hands, but really none of the matchups really seemed like they were going to anyway. But it's nice. But, you know, they said all the titles were on the line, but the FTR title wasn't on the line, so.
Get that FTR title.
So it's not, or FTW, whatever, FTW title. But yeah, I wanted more Ricky Stark. There was no Ricky Stark this week. Very sad. But yeah, that was the show. It was fun. Oh yeah, we forgot. Dark, you had Peter Avalon take on Brandon Cutler, and again, it ended in another double DQ. So they're still winless. So let's keep that double DQ streak going. Maybe I don't know if there's anybody else who's like has a losing record, but they should maybe put them in a triple threat and then have that guy win, just to keep the sanity of the winless streak.
I was gonna say you forgot the Marco Stunt bit, but that was actually on Sammy's vlog. Where he talks to Griff Garrison, he's like, "Look, man, are they friends with Sammy Professional now? Like, he's mine. He's my friend. I've done this and this. He'll always be a friend." He fucking like punches Griff Garrison, knocks him out, and then walks away.
I like the one. Oh yeah, that's right. And then they cut to the other dude, and he's like, "Congratulations on being a father, man." And he's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You're Griff Garrison's dad. Like, that's cool." And he's like, "What?" He's "That's impossible. We're like 4 years apart." He's like, "No, man, it's cool. Like, you're dad. Congratulations." And he's like, "No, I don't look like him." He's like, "Yeah, you do." I forget who was next to him. He's like, "Yeah, you kind of do look like him." But yes, that is the show. So we will be back next week for the next episode, and getting ready for the road to Full Gear, because I'm pretty sure they're going to start vignettes next week, seeing how we are now 3 weeks away from Full Gear. So
Yeah, so fast.
so fast. So it'll fly right by. So 3 rounds of wrestling, and get you the finals of the championship. So with that being said, I'm G the Chino.
I'm Mike the Cholo.
And this is Whatever.